A Replit user posted a real bill not long ago. It works out to about $82 a day on an app that hadn't even launched yet. No users, just the build. And the reason I'm showing you that receipt is simple. Think about the experience he was paying all of that money for. Watching the product come together live, clicking around it, talking to the app while it builds. That experience now ships inside the $20 Claude subscription. A lot of you already have it. I build everything I ship inside Claude Desktop. So today, I'll show you that loop running for real. I'll walk through what these platforms actually charge you for, and I'll tell you honestly where they're still the right call. So let's start with what you're actually buying from a Lovable or a Bolt or a Replit or a Base 44, because it's worth naming properly. I personally started with Bolt, and what I liked about it was real. You could see your product come together live, click around it, highlight an item, and then chat about it. And it knew what item you clicked on. Those were all real benefits. And I think that experience is most of what people are paying for. Not the model. The platforms run the same frontier models you can already use directly. What they sell is the wrapper, the comfort of pointing at your app and talking to it. And I think a lot of it genuinely is comfortability for people. I don't say that as a knock, because comfort is worth something when you're new. Now, here's what changed. For a while, you could replicate pieces of that experience with MCP servers and other workarounds, and honestly, it was pretty complicated and fiddly. But the new browser inside Claude Desktop recreates that exact experience. It's much more high-powered, and it's a fraction of the cost. If you watched my video about the vibe coding industry a little while back, I told you Claude was fixing this with the browser in the app. Well, it's here, and it's further along than I expected. The update itself is simple to describe. Claude Desktop's code tab now has a built-in browser pane. When Claude edits your project, it starts your dev server and opens the app right there in the pane to check its own work. And the part that surprised me, Auto Verify is on by default. Claude takes screenshots of your app, inspects the page, clicks the elements, fills the forms, and fixes the issues it finds before you've even said anything. It can browse outside sites too, docs, designs, whatever the build needs, in a sandboxed browser inside the app. So, one warning before I show you though. Even with all of this, a Lovable build is still going to feel easier for a beginner, and the reason has nothing to do with the browser. But I'll come back to that, because it's the part most people miss. Let me just show you, because this is the part that words undersell. On this side, the platform loop, everybody knows. Prompt, review, click, adjust. And on this side, Claude Desktop doing the same build. The preview is live the same way, and the click around works the same way. When I highlight an element and say what I want changed, it knows exactly what I'm pointing at. This is Scale B.O.S.S, one of my real products that's live right now. It's the same loop running on a real code base. And watch this part closely. I haven't touched anything here. Claude made a change, opened the app, took its own screenshot, caught the issue, and fixed it. It's auto-verified doing its job. On the platforms, that back and forth is exactly where your credits go. You pay to fix what the tool got wrong. Here, the checking is part of the same subscription, and it happens before you've even looked up. Real quick, if you're building with AI and this is useful to you, please subscribe to this channel. Okay, so now let me be fair to these platforms, because my point is not that they're broken. They're not. Base 44 and Lovable are really expensive, and people overestimate the capability generally. But if you just want a simple website, you can do something really nice, and they can be really pretty beautiful. And you're not trapped either. You can always download your project out of one of those, load the code base into an IDE, and continue. I did it personally. But understand the business you're standing in. Those platforms' entire goal is to get you something that looks pretty and get you to spend money with them. The goal is not to give you something that necessarily works really, really well. A build that looks done is not the same as a build that actually works. And the gap between those two is where your credits go. So let's look at the actual numbers, because the entry prices are not the story. Replit moved to what they call effort-based pricing. The cost of a request varies with how hard the agent worked. You don't know the price until it's done, and overages bill automatically. And the users say it plainer than I can. One wrote that he wasted 200 credits just to delete the app. Another said one prompt cost him $20 and it ruined his UI. There's a thread on the Replit subreddit titled, "Is Claude Code really any cheaper than Replit?" And the top answer is, connect your Claude account and use Claude Code instead. Their own users are telling each other this. So let me put the money picture together honestly. The entry plans, they're cheap. But the moment you build seriously, a real product, not a toy, these platforms run into the hundreds a month. And there are receipts of people paying thousands. My first Bolt project, I spent over $2,000 in 2 weeks. That's the $82 a day bill I showed you at the start. Meanwhile, the loop you actually wanted runs on a $20 Claude plan. I've shipped software for a few $1,000s that would have cost a few $100,000 had I done it through one of those platforms on credits and API rates. Which brings up the fair question. If Claude gives you the same loop, why does a Lovable build still feel easier for a beginner? And the answer is that those systems do a nice job giving you skills for the user interface and the libraries, the pretty part. What they don't do is build with the right structure. Nobody hands your AI the context of what you're building, the rules to build it under, or the way to verify the work is actually done. That's the real gap, and it has nothing to do with the browser. It's partly why we built our second brain, the one we have in our school premium. It exists to fill all of those gaps for you. You get a lot of those same libraries, details, technical implementations, all inside a knowledge base that effectively lives in your code base without the crazy cost. You get security scans, the visual interface work. It's all available there. I'll come back to where that lives at the end. One more comfort answer for the folks that aren't super technical savvy. Connecting outside resources is genuinely easy now. Claude has a GitHub integration and direct OAuth connections. You can do the standard route with an env file if that's your speed, but you can also just click connect and sign in. The setup advantage the platform's had keeps shrinking. So when is a Lovable or a Bolt still the right call? If all you want is a simple, beautiful website up as fast as possible and the monthly bill doesn't bother you, genuinely, they're fine. They're good at that. And like I said, you can export your project and leave whenever you outgrow it. But a real product, that's different. A product that you'll work on for months, one where the bills compound. For that build, the loop you're paying them for is now sitting inside the subscription you already have. So if a friend asks me why they should care that Claude has a browser now, here's the simple answer. The experience the vibe coding platforms charge hundreds a month for. The live preview, the click around, the talk to your app loop is now included in the $20 plan. And it verifies its own work on top of that. And maybe you want my setup for this, how I wire the context, the launch file, the way the second brain feeds a build. It's written up as a pack. That is our MCP server included with our school premium. The community itself is free to join, and there's nearly 10 hours of courses in there, completely free, alongside of a lot of other resources. The link, it's below in the description. So come build with us.